Alrighty, we are live today. So obviously these live pieces have actually been helping out, which is amazing for us. We love hearing that. We like all the feedback, all the messages, all the comments. Like, share, subscribe, obviously. And obviously if you're watching this live right now, hit that like button. That boosts it in Facebook's eyes, and then they say, oh, okay, this is actually a video to pay attention to. And this actually is a video to pay attention to because obviously we've been talking about, yesterday we had the marketplace update, which is in the buyer's favor. Don't want to say it, but it is. It shifted that in the last 2 months, and what it's going to be like in September, have no idea. Obviously, you guys keep on tuning in, and it's going to be live feedback every single week. Actually, pretty much every single day. And then with regards to, right before that, we did a seller's update, and we said, hey, listen, if you really want to maximize the value on your home, these are the 7 things that you need to look at before you put it on the marketplace, because you can only come onto the marketplace once. If you're a buyer, you're a first-time home buyer, you're an investor, you're a builder, you're looking for new construction, you're looking for land, obviously these 3 things don't really apply unless you're a first-time home buyer. So first-time home buyer, obviously a lot of the people have come to me and said, literally after doing these videos, and they said, okay, great, where do I start? You know, the first thing that you have to start with is the bank. Okay, you can't do anything without the bank. If you're cash, if you're getting gifted, I did a video on that, which is gifting, co-purchasing, parents buying for kids, kids buying for parents. That's in a totally different video. Look that up on BPI's YouTube. But today we're actually going to be talking about if you're a first-time home buyer and or it's been a while since you bought. There are 3 things that you need to do, especially if you own a property right now and you're looking for another property, whether that's an investment, a second home, or you're looking to 1031 or just sell and then buy. This is vitally important because you now have debt. You may have accumulated more debt, or maybe your entire lifestyle is totally different. Because when you start making more money, the law of something, there's got to be a law out there as the more money you make, the more money you spend. You know, that could be something. I know it's not Murphy's Law, and I know it's not the law of attraction, everything like that, because you'd be attracting more money the more money you spend and everything else. This is the thing, is that it comes to a shock sometimes, because when you buy a property, you say, okay, this is great, and then the issue becomes, you become house poor, okay? Shout out to one of my clients who actually came up with that term, or maybe she heard it from someone else. But it's a very interesting topic because you don't understand either the debt you've accumulated or your credit score, how it's had effect on that, or you're looking at more income, but you're not really looking at your expenses, the amount of things that are leaving your bank account, your life, your lifestyle, your 401k, you know, things that you would normally just be saving for something. So if you're looking to upgrade or you're looking to move to the suburbs, which is many people's logical step, they want the lawn, they want the grass, they want the driveway, we're going to be talking to you guys. So what is the bank going to provide? The bank is going to provide clarity. And there's 2 types of clarity. The bank is going to say, okay, great, we believe you that you make this amount of money, you have this in the bank, you own this, and blah, blah, blah. That's just pre-qualification, okay? That means nothing, okay? But when you get pre-approved, that's everything, because they run your credit, they ask for documentations, they ask for clarity, they ask for all these things that you're like, oh yeah, by the way, I have this another bank account, or by the way, I am now leasing a car, or oh, by the way, I have a Hamptons house that drained $10,000 out of my bank account, or I'm in a share house, or whatever the case is. There's things that the bank will ultimately discover, as is their job, that you kind of just like push under the rug, or you don't really care about, or you forgot about, to be honest. And that's all financially. They're not looking at you as a person. They're like, you are great, but what do you do when you get money? How do you spend it when you get money? And that's essentially the bank. And the bank is the precursor to the co-op. The bank is way easier than a co-op. Okay, so a bank has a 42 debt to income ratio. 42% means you get a gross income of $1,000 every paycheck, okay, just to make life easy on Charles, okay? You need to have $420 left over, and that is all, or $420 leaving max every single month. They have exceptions. If you open a bank account, you put in a certain amount of money. They have exceptions if you're drawing down money, or you're retired and you get, you know, obviously pension and 401k and you know, all that other jazz that comes with retirement. And then they can amortize your retirement funds or a large gift or something else, and then they can amortize that as income, even though it's not income, over the course of, say, 20 years or 10 years or something like that. First person is the bank, because they're going to discover things. They're also going to bring up red lights, okay? The second person is talk to a professional, a real estate professional, okay? And obviously that's not the most logical step in most people's minds. They want to go see property, but you actually have to sit down. We have a buyer's meeting, 45 minutes minimum, to go over the expectations. And to be honest, we just got referred business from someone from Long Island. Shout out, thank you very much. It was an agent on Long Island, and they said, listen, they're looking to buy their first home on in New York City. They're young, it's a beautiful couple. They've wanted to do this for a while. They're getting a gift. Everything sounded amazing. You know, it sounded great. You know, the bank looked at it as unbelievable. When I sat down with them, I said, you know, this is what is going to be leaving once you do maintenance and mortgage. This is how much you're making, okay? Your debt, in other words, maintenance and mortgage, plus your student loans, on top of how much you're making, we just can't qualify for a co-op. We got to look for condos. Okay, that switch was massive in their mind, because all they're looking at were these beautiful one bedrooms that they can easily afford, but in fact, they're all co-ops. And if you're looking at condos as one bedrooms, it's a totally different crowd. Okay, you're literally looking at a product that's 25% higher in value, 25% less availability. So in other words, right now, actually, it's probably about 30%, maybe 31%. But you know, the very high end has kind of subsidized the amount of condos on the marketplace. If you go down 57th Street, you obviously can see that. But the amount of co-ops to condos is 70-30. That's a good round number. And honestly, the amount of condos coming onto the marketplace has just been eating away at that number. So there are more condos available, but the majority are co-ops. The affordability is in co-ops, because most people that are outside the states, outside of the New York City, or that can't qualify, or they don't have the best financials, they buy condos. So the amount of competition is on a ridiculous scale. So number one is the banks. You come to the broker, and by the way, just a little side note with the banks is that they'll ask to run your credit, okay? I highly recommend that right before running the credit, you meet with a broker, because if you run the credit, it dings it a little bit, okay? What I would do is go to myfico.com, which is free, myfico.com, free. Go there, run it yourself. If it's, and there, it shows it, it's pretty obvious. It's red, yellow, and green. Okay, they say red is you got to pay down these credit cards or these student loans or this house or this boat or something. Yellow is, okay, this is cautionary. In other words, it could be you don't have a big history, or you've never taken on debt, or which is fascinating to me. You know, they could ding you for not taking on debt. You know, I'm such a good citizen, myself, I've never taken on debt, that I get dinged for it. And then the green is, okay, it's good and everything else. You can hand that to maybe a banker. They can't give you a real pre-approval letter, a legal pre-approval letter, because they're not running it themselves. But they can at least say, okay, you're at 700, or you're at 740, or you're at 660. This is what you need to do. Meet with the broker. Once you meet with the broker, this is the most important thing you have to talk about is, okay, I understand what you see on Street Easy. I understand what you want. I understand the area you want. It's got to be pet friendly. It's got to have a balcony. It's got to be a penthouse, and I want it for $400,000 in the condo in the West Village. Awesome, understandable, perfect. That's where the broker says, okay, let's look at the financials first. Then from there, unbelievable. I shout out to Brian Buffini. Brian Buffini has brought this up many times, and he said it's a process of elimination. It's not a process of selection. A process of elimination where you just literally narrow it down. Because most people say, this is the neighborhood, I want a doorman, I want a balcony, I want a washer dryer, I want it to be a 2-bedroom, I want it to be a condo, I want it to be brand new, blah, blah, blah. They have all this criteria. It's like dating. It's really like dating. It's like you have all this criteria, and then you have to narrow it down and say, okay, this is what's really important to me. I want to be close to work. I want it to be an elevator because I want to put my bike in there, or my parents come and visit and they have heavy luggage. Whatever that case is, there's probably 3 to 4 non-negotiables. Okay, typically it's the area, it's definitely the price, and then there could be 1 or 2 other things. I entertain, so I want a bigger living room, and I'm willing to sacrifice the bedroom size. Or I do tons of laundry, there has to be a washer dryer, which is so stupid. Don't just do that, because most buildings have a washer dryer in the building, but don't do washer dryer in the apartment. I've lost, there's so many apartments that were perfect for the client, but they're like, oh, we can't put a washer dryer in. No. I'm like, so close. Anyway, that and beds, and like I have a king size bed, it can't fit in here. Get rid of the bed. Go to queen size. It's not that big of a deal. It's not that big of a deal. This is a $1.2 million place, and you're gonna get rid of your $2,000 bed, so be it. And the other one is tables, dining room tables. People come in, they're like, I have a 8-person dining room table. Well, we can't put that into your studio, or we can't put that into your 1 bedroom. Keep on renting until we find a place, or I recommend you get rid of the dining room table, or I recommend you go to a restaurant or something like that. I don't know, something. If you really want to buy, these are the precursors. So you talk to the bank, you go to the broker, and you say, okay, what can I afford, blah, blah, blah. The third, which sounds obvious, but it's kind of one of those things where you don't want to search that you are looking to buy a place. You search objectively. You emotionally go into the mindset of, okay, do I actually want to do this? Okay, so the third is because it's very time consuming. So if you have a newborn, or you have a crazy job, or you have insane hours, or you have a lot of vacations coming up, or you're going away pretty much every weekend, it's not going to work. Why? Because when you go away every weekend, you're not going to be able to see open houses. You're not going to be able to just truly get involved in the process. The second is, if you're mentally not there and you're like, well, let's see, I recommend you go to open houses and you just check it out. You just say, can I see myself living there? Because most people that come to us, that is the #1 question that I ask. I ask obviously about financials and where you want to live and the expectations and timing, the broad macro where everybody talks about. But honestly, the #1 thing, why? Why do you want to buy? Why do you want to buy? Is it because you're being sold the American dream? Is it because your parents want you to buy? Is it because society or the government has a program to make you buy? That was good in 2009 when there was a lot of governmental programs that said, which, by the way, there was a lot of red tape on that. And by the way, there's a lot of just things that people didn't know about. They gave $8,000 towards your purchase or your closing costs. And by the way, you have to pay that back in 8 years. Nobody knew that. Nobody knew that. It's crazy, like, oh, $8,000 towards your closing costs. And it was like, okay, great. Oh, by the way, it's actually a loan. Yeah, that wasn't really underlined in that, kind of disappointing, because there's a lot of buyers that I read in the news and that happened to them. So essentially, why do you want to buy is you're looking for a bigger space. You need that home office. You have been saving for a while, and it's a dream. This is it's kind of like it's an emotional roller coaster. Okay, it's going to go up because you started the process, and then you see things, and then it starts to go down, and then it starts to go up because you see a place, and then you lose the place to another buyer. It goes down, and then you see another place, but you're away, and then it goes down, and then you finally find a place. You put in an offer, and then they say, actually, we don't accept that, or the co-op says we're not financially qualified, or we don't accept dogs, or co-purchasing, or parents buying for children, or gifting. The why is as important. That should be #1. Okay, that really should be #1. But you can't go into a purchase without those 3 things. So, and the reason I say that, there's a ton of other things. You got to have your paperwork. You got to have everything in line. You got to have the gifting in the bank account. You got to make sure that your bonus is already in your bank account. It's not, going to come in the future. The bank wants to see it, everything else. So #1 is talk to the bank, because they're going to say, and talk to us. We have banking relationships with everyone. It's completely just go see them, because they're professionals. They get the things done, and they are really good at what they do. Alyssa Danzig at Wells Fargo has been in the game for 30 years. She's a managing director and just a saint when it comes to it. I use her for all my deals. And she comes back to me and she says, as my light goes out, she comes back to me and she says, this is working, this is not working, things like that. And I need to know that going into the co-op. They need a gift. Okay, great. Do they need it now, so it's in the actual bank account, or do they actually blah, blah, blah? All right, anyway, Charles, stop talking. Sometimes I go on a rant. First one is go to the bank. Second one, once you go to the bank, you have to go out and talk to an agent. Sit down, not on the phone, sit down for 45 minutes. You're getting into a relationship with that broker, and that broker is going to tell you hopefully the most honest things there is about buying, the expectations, the longevity. This is what the current marketplace is talking about. You know, if it was 6 months ago, I'd say you're probably going to lose 1 or 2 apartments. Right now, I'm going to say you're probably going to get the apartment at the price you want, but you may not actually find the apartment that you want because there's sort of a lot of inventory, but there's not a lot of inventory. There's a lot of frustrated buyers out there that kind of just left the marketplace. They may return after Labor Day. Fingers crossed they do. And the third is, what is your why? Why are you buying? Why are you really doing this? So those are the 3 tips. It sounds standard, but you have to do that before you even seriously consider putting in an offer, because otherwise you're working backwards, and to be honest, it's not worth anyone's time, including yourself. And it's worth a lot of money to go through the contract period and the bank process if you're like, actually, I don't want to buy. So hopefully that helps. If you guys have any questions, leave in the comments below, charles@bpi.live. If you guys have any questions that you want me to answer, obviously leave in the comments. charles@bpi.live is my personal email. Shoot me an email. There was a ton of people. That's what actually triggered this video. Was a lot of people said, okay, that's great. You're focusing on sellers and you're focusing on the marketplace. But what is me as a buyer? You know, and we're going to really drill down after this about other ways that you guys as buyers can enter the marketplace educated. The numbers were yesterday, but educated mentally and being prepared for the longevity of going through a 3-month, if it's a condo, or a 4 or 5 or 6 month co-op process. You know, it is time intensive. It's financially and emotionally draining. So any questions, leave in the comments below. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Share, like, subscribe, whatever you guys want to do. Actually, no, don't have a great or have a great weekend, but we're going to be going live again tomorrow. Talk to you guys soon. Enjoy your Thursday.